Corking the Front Door, Japan's New Role in the Global Siege of China. By Tina Antonis, the verbal barbs between Japan and China have been a distraction. The real story is Japan's deepening military integration with the Philippines. As the U.S. and its allies move to seal the Luzon Strait, Japan is shedding its pacifist skin to serve as the regional arsenal, providing the hardware and the boots on the ground necessary to turn the front door of the South China Sea into a strategic bottleneck. It is the tactical manifestation of a new Cold War focused on maritime choke points and the kinetic kneecapping of China's Belt and Road Initiative. On April 21, 2026, Japan's cabinet officially scrapped decades-old restrictions on the export of lethal defense equipment. This decision by Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi marks the definitive end of the 1967-era Three Principles on Transfer of Defense Equipment, effectively dismantling the final legal barriers of post-war pacifism. This is more than a policy tweak. It is a structural realignment of the Japanese state to function as a regional arsenal of democracy. A prime example of this friction is the Philippine Navy's interest in Abyakuma-class destroyer escorts, vessels specifically designed for anti-submarine warfare. While the Navy emphasized in February 2026 that Japan had yet to make a formal offer, limiting the interaction to a joint visual inspection, the Takaichi cabinet's recent legal pivot specifically removes the requirement to strip these vessels of their weapon systems by clearing the legal path for the export of lethal hardware. Tokyo has effectively moved the Abyakuma from a sidelined visual inspection to a viable, armed option for reinforcing the front door. The Takaichi administration is framing these exports under the concept of fighting resilience, a strategic doctrine aimed at building a persistent industrial base among allies. By providing the Philippines with these 2,000-ton vessels, Japan is essentially outsourcing a portion of the front door defense to Manila. This ensures that the Philippine Navy can maintain a constant, lethal presence in the Luzon Strait without requiring a perpetual U.S. or Japanese hull on site, effectively turning a local navy into a proxy gatekeeper for the Allied blockade. For the first time in history, the Japan Self-Defense Forces, JSDF, are not merely observing the Balakatan military exercises. They are full participants. Under the newly implemented Reciprocal Access Agreement, approximately 1,400 Japanese troops have joined their U.S. and Philippine counterparts as part of a 17,000-strong force in a high-stakes rehearsal for maritime conflict. The centerpiece of this year's drills is a coordinated joint maritime strike off the coast of northern Luzon. Allied forces are practicing the sinking of the BRP Quezon, PS-70. Sinking the BRP Quezon with Allied missiles, including Japanese Type 88 surface-to-ship systems, is a visceral demonstration of the hardware and tactics required to turn the northern Philippines into a lethal barrier. Though this exercise takes place within the West Philippine Sea, its strategic importance lies in its geography. Northern Luzon's proximity to the Luzon Strait makes it a massive flashpoint. It is the front door of the disputed South China Sea and the primary gateway to Taiwan. The logistical hinges of this gateway were greased in January 2026, when Manila and Tokyo finalized the acquisition and cross-servicing agreement (ACSA). This pact allows for the tax-free entry of military supplies and services, effectively turning the Philippine archipelago into a frictionless launch pad for Japanese power. Combined with the 2024 Reciprocal Access Agreement, the ACSA ensures that the Allied arsenal is no longer just visiting the front door, it is moving in. This front door strategy is the kinetic counterpart to China's greatest strategic anxiety, the Malacca Dilemma. If the Luzon Strait is the entrance, the Strait of Malacca is the back door in the southwest. The Belt and Road Initiative was conceived as a multi-billion-dollar workaround to the fact that 80% of China's oil trade must pass through this narrow artery. By corking the front door in the northeast while maintaining the potential for a distant blockade at the back door, the United States and its allies are signaling their ability to sever China's energy veins at will. In 2026, the sinking of a ship off northern Luzon isn't just a drill. It's a demonstration of how to create a permanent blockage in the world's most vital maritime artery. The pincer movement in the Pacific is mirrored on the other side of the globe, where the U.S. is playing a high-stakes game of chess in the Strait of Hormuz. By tightening the naval grip on this oil valve, the administration is directly targeting the lifeblood of China's industrial engine. As I detailed in my previous work, board games and bottlenecks. Iran serves as a critical junction on this chessboard. The strategic importance of this node was underscored earlier this month when a U.S.-Israeli strike targeted a section of the China-Iran rail corridor. While Iran managed to repair the link in under 3 days, the message was clear: no land bridge is beyond the reach of kinetic interference. The strategy extends deep into the Western Hemisphere under what is being called the Donro Doctrine. This policy is designed to systematically purge Chinese influence from Greenland to Latin America, turning the entire hemisphere into a series of geopolitical choke points. The recent kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela and the intensifying pressure on Cuba are tactical hits against BRI hubs. Even Brazil is now a target as they approach their upcoming elections. The policy mirroring and interference tactics suggest a desperate effort to block China's trade access to the Atlantic. As G-Captains John Conrad noted, choke points are the focus of a new Cold War. Analysts like Brian Burlitic have long warned that the goal is a total blockade of China, but these choke points are no longer strictly maritime. This is all-out hybrid warfare, utilizing everything from ethnic armed groups and proxy terrorists to economic sanctions and the arsenal of export controls we are now seeing. In this context, a choke point isn't just a narrow strait. It is any node, financial, digital, or geographic, where the Allies can exert a stranglehold on China's industrial lifeblood. The rationale for this aggression is economic reality. The United States cannot compete with the integrated industrial capacity of China's state-owned enterprises, SZs, as Clementine G. Starling Daniels noted at the Atlantic Council. The U.S. simply does not have a comparable offering that allows private firms to match the state-subsidized prices of Chinese SLEs. Because U.S. multinational corporations cannot win on a level playing field, the strategy has shifted from competition to kneecapping. If you cannot outbuild the Belt and Road, you must destroy the transit points that make it viable. Tina Antonis is an independent researcher and blogger, a longtime reader of antiwar.com. She has been writing about U.S. foreign policy on her WordPress since 2017 and publishes essays ranging from geopolitical critique to personal and philosophical reflections on Substack. You can find her on X, formerly Twitter, or contact her at ms_cat71@aol.com.